What is up, guys? William here from fitnessforbackpain.com, where I teach you how to master your mindset, improve your movements, and build smarter strength so that you can overcome long-standing, persistent, chronic back pain. Today we're going to be talking about 4 core training mistakes that people who have had a spinal fusion surgery make when it comes to training. It's gonna be all things core training. Even if you haven't had a spinal fusion surgery, I promise you, if you stay tuned, there's gonna be a lot of value that you'll pull from this video. So if you've had a disc injury, if you've had other kinds of operations that don't involve fusions, this is still really good information for you to follow for your own training program. Let's jump in. Now, if you have had a fusion, I've got a special gift for you that you can pick up on top of this video. It's my 10 rules to exercise if you've had a spinal fusion. You can go to www.fitnessforbackpain.com/10 rules. It's below here. I'll put a card here as well. Click on that, download it. It's got a ton of information specifically for fused individuals. Go get it. All right, so the first mistake that I see a lot of fused individuals make when it comes to their core training is too much flexion-based core training. If you have been fused, if you have a history of a fusion, whether it is 12 months old or if it's 6 years old, there's a thing that you have to respect, and that's excessive spinal flexion. Now, the 2 key exercises that usually come to mind for most people in the gym are crunches and sit-ups. If you have had a spinal fusion and you are trying to train your core, do it smarter, do it safer to reduce symptoms, reduce the risk of injury, reduce the risk of doing more damage, take these 2 exercises completely out of your program and never do them again. Okay? Not that they are inherently dangerous, that these specific core exercises are some secret to blowing out discs. It's not about that at all. It's the risk reward when it comes to the specific core training exercises that you're picking. Those 2 exercises are old school, they're very traditional, but you don't need them. There are hundreds of other core exercises that you can do that will serve you far better than crunches and sit-ups. So if you are still trying to fit these exercises into your program, forget about them. They're not worth it. Now, if you're looking for other options other than crunches and sit-ups, I shot a video, you can check it out right here, covering 10 exercises that I love when it comes to core training that I think are safe and great for those who have been fused. Again, I'll leave that link somewhere on the video screen. Now, the second big mistake I see a lot of fused individuals make when it comes to their core training is a lot of twisting type of core exercises. You can do things like ball slams, you can do the side-to-side crunches or side-to-side endurance type exercises that you see a lot of times in the gym. They're just not worth it. Again, it comes back down to the risk reward of the specific core exercises. A lot of excessive twisting with certain types of load is just not a good thing. And this might be common sense to some people, but for others who tend to follow more of a traditional pattern of exercise, they kind of just know what they know and they follow what they either go into the gym and see, or they got a free session from a personal trainer and they think that that free session gave them enough information when it comes to training their core that will sustain them. And unfortunately, as a professional personal trainer, that's just not the case. There's so much more context needed outside of that initial session. If you think about it, it just kind of makes sense, right? If your vertebrae have been fused, depending on how many were fused or how little, obviously that's going to be different for each individual, but it just makes sense. If you're dealing with some sensitivity, you're dealing with some pain or some post-surgery life scenarios when it comes to just chronic pain, then you have to think about, okay, what specific things could be irritating those tissues or keeping those tissues really sensitive, right? I'm not gonna go into too much depth about this, but your body has what I call its protection mechanism. After a major surgery like a fusion, like a discectomy, laminectomy, whatever surgery you may have had, it wants to protect itself. Now, depending on how you view your injury, view your history, all that's gonna play a role in how you experience certain exercises. So if you are already fearful going into these twisting or flexion-based exercises, you are at a higher risk for having these exercises cause symptoms, cause some weird catches and pains that are just unnecessary. Now, the third mistake I see a lot of people who have been fused make when it comes to core training are hanging type exercises. Now, to someone who is working with someone who knows what they're talking about, when it comes to, I've been fused, and now I'm working with a personal trainer who understands the dynamics and the logistics of training someone with some kind of spinal injury or spinal operation, such as a fusion, You can dance around certain exercises like hanging type of exercises. But if you're a DIY person, you're like, bump, hiring a personal trainer, I've got William over at fitnessforbackpain.com, and he is awesome. Just kidding. But if that is you, if you are in that kind of situation, you want to do it on your own, I would say step away and remove these hanging type of exercises. Now, there's a lot of reasons why I'm not a huge fan of hanging exercises, and a lot of it comes down to technique, a lot of it comes down to who's coaching you and what information you're being given. But if we keep it super simple, right? Look at what you're doing. You're grabbing onto a bar, you've got your elbows in some kind of straps, and you're hanging. You're creating a traction on that fused area. So being in that hanging traction type of environment isn't what is suggested for those who have had these types of surgeries. So if you're in the gym, you're creating that traction, and now you're trying to do knees to chest, you're trying to do toes to bar, or legs straight out, whatever variation you're trying to do. The next aspect of why I don't like this comes into play, and that's just the lack of control and lack of quality of movement, right? If you see most people in the gym who are not super advanced, they tend to get kind of reckless with this type of exercise. There's a lot of jarring, there's a lot of bouncing around, there's a lack of control or a lack of attention to executing the exercise really well. And when you're dealing with a sensitivity, when you're dealing with a surgery site, things that are very sensitive as far as what's in the back, the hardware that you might have, the healing process, how long ago it was that you were fused, all these things play a role in what type of exercises you should be doing. So if I'm thinking long term, if I'm thinking how can I preserve what I have, still build strength, still build resiliency, still build confidence in my body and the ability that it can do, even though I've had a surgery, I'm gonna stay away from exercises that could potentially cause some jarring, cause some unnecessary injury or pain, especially if I'm not really gonna focus on mastering and having that really good form. And the thing about it is you can still do the types of exercises you see when you are hanging, from whether you're doing the tricep stirrups or you're doing just a hanging bar raise, knees to chest. You can do all of these exercises on your back. There's other variations that you can do that are putting you less at risk for injury, and that's what you want. So the fourth biggest mistake that I see when it comes to people who've had a fusion done, they're trying to train their core smarter, with less symptoms, less pain, less risk of injury, is not thinking functional. And I hate the word functional, but it's just a really good word to use when it comes to your mindset and the way you are approaching exercise. Grabbing a shovel and moving one pile of dirt to another area of your yard is functional. That's a functional core exercise. It's a functional full body exercise, right? Grabbing a barbell off the ground, deadlifting, or squatting with a bar on your back, yes, it is functional, but you can do, odds are you're never gonna be squatting 400 pounds off of the ground in a real life situation, right? So if you think about it, when it comes to training the core, there's different aspects of what the core is made up of, right? A lot of us want that anterior abs. We want to train the abs because those look awesome when they're just chiseled and just shredded. They look great. Then there's the core. There's the functional core, and how you use your trunk to protect your spine, to protect your body, your hips and everything, and allowing everything to kind of work as the powerhouse that the hips and trunk actually are together. So when we go into the gym, we kind of default to these like anterior abs. We train the front of our stomach. We might tend to hit some obliques, some side planks and stuff like that, but typically we're gonna do the more of the anterior stuff. So we do a lot of like static type of positions, right? It kind of goes back to the crunches, it goes back to the sit-ups, it goes back to the weighted crunches or the weighted leg drops or the hanging exercises that you might do. These are great, they challenge the core, but let's think outside of that, right? Let's think of, okay, get yourself in a neutral position, which is a natural thing to do. It's functional. You walk, you stand, you grab, you put groceries away. You do things in life in a very neutral, upright position. So if we think about it, we take that idea, which is pretty common sense, and then we challenge that. Like we kind of create some chaos to that standing position, washing dishes, whatever you might be doing. You're standing, you're neutral. We add some chaos or some dynamic to that that's going to challenge you to be able to maintain that neutral position. It's a simple concept that a lot of people like, oh, well, it doesn't make sense to kind of just stand and hold a kettlebell or a dumbbell on one side of the body. It doesn't make sense. I want to like feel that, I want to feel the burn of the abs, of the crunches, of the sit-ups. But if you step away from that and think about, okay, how can I protect my spine? I've been fused. I've had a discectomy or whatever spinal surgery you've had. I want to protect that area. I want to build resilience and strength and endurance in my trunk so that while I am out chasing my kid, or I am out playing ball with my kid, or I am out shoveling stuff or cutting the grass or washing my car or changing the brakes on my Tahoe, whatever you may have, when you're doing those types of situations, you're building that resilience in the tissues and the ability to stabilize that good, healthy position. So I'm a huge fan of neutral spine work. It could be power presses, it could be front planks, side planks, it could be farmer's carries, it could be single arm holds, it could be warrior presses, it could be pay lift to warrior presses, lots of different functional neutral spine type of exercises. There's nothing magical about the word functional or magical about the category of functional exercise, but I'm just thinking, you can build strength, you can build endurance in your trunk without excessive flexion, without excessive twisting, without choosing exercises that could potentially cause more harm, more damage to an area, and get a great exercise. You can still do it with very simple, less aggressive core training. We don't need a ton of variety. We don't need, 15 different exercises to pull from to make sure we hit every angle and love handle that we might have. We don't need it. It's all fake news when it comes to what your body actually needs to build the resilience and a pain-free lifestyle that you want to get back. But the best thing that you can do is focus on building strength, building smarter strength, but also setting yourself up for future success. So you don't have repeat surgeries. So you don't have a life of pain medication trying to figure out why the heck, even though you're exercising, even though you've got a strong core or you're training your core, you're constantly in pain. So that is it. Those are my 4 mistakes that I see too often when it comes to people who have had a spinal fusion. Again, yes, you've been fused. Yes, you've been operated on. You've been cut open. It's a very serious thing. But I don't want you to think that you're fragile. I don't want you to think that you're broken or that you're just some kind of special category of people, of the human race that have to follow these certain specific types of rules. No, you are strong. You are completely capable of doing a lot more than you think that you are. It's all about when you're first starting out to be smart. And then as you get better and better and you build that resilience, you can add more and more challenge based off of your own personal threshold. That is the key to exercise long-term, even with a major operation such as a fusion. All right. So if you want to learn more about how I look at exercises or exercise in general for people who've been fused, check out my free PDF download, The 10 Rules to Exercising After a Spinal Fusion. It's totally free. Just let me know where you want me to send it. You can click on the link in the description box in the comment section or in the description section, or you can go to www.fitnessforbackpain.com/10 rules. Pick it up there. It's yours. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next episode.